sexually, you become confused. You know, lesbians, transgender, girls, and society has this, you know, very negative persona of individuals. And
hi, and welcome to today's episode of Teen Talk. I'm your host, Abigail Gamble, and just like I love summer, which is totally coming up, and I'm so excited for it, I love new people and loving to get to know them. So today on the show, I have a guest. Her name is Miss Tanisha Nowen. So, Miss Tanisha, did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you. So, a few weeks ago, I met you at a teen summit, and you guys were telling your story about assault, am I right? Or sexual assault?
Yes.
So, can you tell me what you told everyone else at the teen summit?
I'm originally from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I just moved to Nashville, Tennessee back in August.
Okay.
I am a survivor of sexual assault, sexual abuse by someone I was in a relationship with. It happened over a possibly 2-year period, possibly longer. And I just recently moved here for a fresh start. Fresh start on life.
And so can you tell us a little bit about what happened?
Absolutely. And this is actually perfect since it is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So it's even better opportunity to be able to shed light, hopefully for other survivors or for individuals that this has happened to, to eventually be able to seek some help or just to tell their story. I would say back in 2008, well, I had a boyfriend that I met in college, and I ended up having a child by him. My son is now 10 years old. And back in 2008, I had lost my father. He was murdered, and I'm the only child, so I was heavily grieving my dad, and I drank a lot to deal with it. So, and me dealing with my grieving with my dad, because I drank so heavily, I would pass out. And there was in those moments that he would have sex with me while I was unconscious. And it was just one night that I particularly remember where I had been drinking heavily. I came home, got into bed, kind of dressed to, undergarments and laid in my bed. We lived together. He came, and I just remember waking up to someone asking me if I knew what was happening, if I knew what was going on, me never really responding, and him proceeding to undress me and have sex with me. When he was done, he put my clothes back on me and laid down beside me like nothing happened. In the morning, I asked him, had anything happened? Did we have sex? And he informed me, no, you were passed out drunk. And because I remembered what happened, I addressed it with him and told him that he needed to leave and get out. I didn't really know what happened. I didn't know really what that was, just that I felt, I just felt kind of empty and wondered really why would he do something like that when we were in a relationship. So I talked to my little sister. She was in her 20s at the time, and I told her what happened, and she told me that was rape. And because I wasn't really aware of what rape was. I know, I know it's when you know what rape is, but because it didn't really, in my mind, meet the vicious, violent attacks, I didn't really think that that's what it was. But after going through some years of dealing with it and that anger and that rage that I had because of it, I began to process it, but it took me a while. It took me at least 2 years to actually admit what happened. And because I really wouldn't admit what happened, I kind of grew up, I come from a background of abuse where my parents and my family, they were always violent, so all we knew was anger. And I always saw my parents working their issues out even after they would have, a physically abusive fight. So in my mind, I tried to pretend that it didn't happen because I wanted my relationship or my family, I would say, to work, because I had a child by this man. I thought that I could get over it, and I couldn't. And I didn't know that as time went on and I continued to be in a relationship with him, that as I continued to drink, he was still continuously doing that. Until one day I actually just woke up and everything, all of my emotions really hit me hard. And I remember feeling so much anger and rage towards him that I really wanted to hurt him. And I knew that if I did that, you know, one, he was going to go to jail for what he did. I was probably going to go to jail for being, you know, doing what I was thinking about doing.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the life that I wanted my son to have. So I decided that I needed to go to counseling instead. And that was the day that that was the day my life started over, with beginning and learning how to cope with being sexually assaulted and sexually abused, and learning how to cope and deal with all of the different emotions that I was experiencing.
Wow, that story is really deep.
I know,
I wouldn't think someone that, you know, you're with would do something to you like that, especially if you guys like in a relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But, you know, it happens more often than people think, you know. It's not just with people that you're in a relationship with. It happens with family members. We see it a lot. I come from a background and have experience with working with youth. And in Milwaukee, that was what I used to do. I overseed a lot of after-school programs and was in high schools and in middle schools and elementary schools working with kids. And I would have a lot of girls that would come up to me and it kind of express and expose that they were being sexually abused. And it was by, you know, an uncle, you know, a granddad, their mom's boyfriend, a friend. And so, you know, it's not just that stranger, that person that's going to jump out of that alley and attack you. You know, it's people that you know. And the sad part is that these people have a hard time confronting someone that you know. Because you think, like, how could you sexually assault me or, you know, force yourself on me? How can you rape me and I know you? You're someone I trust. And I think, like, personally, that was one of the biggest violations that I felt. You know, I know you. I'm in a relationship with you. There's absolutely no need for you to force yourself. But, you know, those types of people, they have their own issues that they have to deal with. So that's the way that I processed it. Well, that I am beginning to process it, because before it was just anger and rage.
So how did you got over it? By counseling?
I did. Actually, I had a lot of different things that I was doing. I remember the first time I actually spoke out about it. It was in 2013. I had a friend. I actually had a circle of people that as I was going through counseling, I was seeing my therapist, you know, once a week. And then it got to a point where I was in a group session with other survivors. And I was going to counseling literally twice a week, and it was very difficult. I would say that was probably the roughest time of my life, because you're re-experiencing that abuse, that trauma, those memories that you can't escape from. You know, you remember every single thing, and your emotions are so intense that it almost broke me, to be honest. It really almost broke me. And the only thing that really motivated me was my son, because I got to a point where I was really becoming very depressed with it, with being around other survivors. It was just depressing when you think that someone can do something like that and it will change your entire way of what you look at life. And I remember how happy I was before it to how sad and angry I was afterwards. And it was just like, you know what? Nobody gets to have this type of control over my life. So that and my son, you know, I was experiencing so much anger and rage, and I wasn't expressing it, that he started to act out my anger. And I remember just thinking, you know what, nobody gets to have this much control over me and you. And if I don't deal with this and if I don't get through this, I probably won't. And I had, you know, I was in group with women who were you know, in different psychiatric wards and have been experiencing this. You know, there were some who had been molested as children, so they've been in counseling for years. And here I was, my second year, and I'm listening to these women say, hey, you know, it's kind of good being around other women who are a lot, you know, further along in their healing journey, because I'm this close from going back to the psychiatric ward. And for me, my thought was, if I don't get, not if I don't get over this, but if I don't learn to cope with this and deal with it in a healthy way, that's where I could see myself going. And that's not someplace I wanted to be.
That's very inspiring, you know, speaking about it, because I know it's probably not easy to talk about it.
You know, I really, in the beginning, because it was so difficult, I didn't know how common it was. You know, 1 in 4 women has been raped or experienced some form of sexual assault. That's a huge number.
That's a lot of women.
You don't think about how many women this is actually affected. I won't even just say women, but how many individuals this has actually affected, because nobody speaks about it. You know, a lot of people just walk around angry, hurt, or sad, and depressed, or with other types of emotions and feelings, but no one's really expressing it, because you have to put on this facade that you're happy and that your life is wonderful. When on the inside, you know, I remember feeling like I was dying and my soul was really crying and just hurt. So yeah, it was kind of difficult to put up a facade like I was happy. But when I felt like I began to open up a little bit, I began to feel like there were other people that were like me. And so I began to seek out people who looked like they were a little bit more healthier with coping with it. And I wanted them to mentor me. And that may sound crazy, but sometimes you look for someone that's like you, that has experienced the same type of things, so that they can kind of help, you know, guide you and pull you out of it a little bit.
I understand what you're saying, because like with my sickle cell, I had an older cousin. Her name was Erica, but she passed away on Thanksgiving last year.
Sorry.
It's okay. She's in a better place now. But she had sickle cell like me, and I would look to her because it was hard for me to talk to other people about, like, I felt like, until I talked to her and I realized there's other kids and other people out there just like me. So when I started talking to her more, it gave me more confidence in myself, because I used to have like low self-esteem. But, you know, it gave me more confidence in myself. So when I started talking to her, she did help. So, but when she passed away, it really hurt me.
But you feel empowered when you feel like there's other people like you that you can begin to speak with it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is how you feel. You know, it's crazy how you can take such a traumatic experience and use it in a way where it's motivating for you, you know? And that's really how I try to live my life now. As I was going through my healing journey, I knew that at some point I was going to have to be strong enough that I was going to have to help others. And I didn't know that I would actually be forced to work with teenage girls. My last site that I came from was a high school site, all girls. And there were so many girls that had been sexually assaulted or even had experience with domestic abuse. And so I used that as a way to unite us and empower us as a group. And I didn't know that more people would begin to come to me and open up about their experiences, and that I would be pushed out into this, you know, this platform. And I won't even say platform, but a forum where I can begin to advocate for others. Because I think it's important that individuals feel empowered to start their healing journey. There's no reason why we should walk around ashamed, hurting, angry, because someone has violated us. You know, yes, we can be angry. Yes, we can be sad. Yes, we can be mad. But there comes a point where you need to take your life back, because you're giving someone too much power over your life. And so with that, I just want to hope, I would love that every time I open my mouth and express my story, or someone hears my story, that they feel empowered to go through counseling or to get a support group or some form of help, so that they can, you know, begin to see their future.
I understand. That's very inspiring for like people out there, you know, that are watching, and they're like, you know, they don't feel alone, just like how you didn't feel alone.
I'm pretty observant with people, so I always, when I'm speaking or when I'm talking to someone, I always look at their body language and how they talk. You know, quiet, extremely quiet people, even with kids, extremely quiet kids. You know, I like to believe that everyone has a different type of personality. Some are more outspoken, but when you see kids consistently who are very quiet, don't say much, don't really know how to communicate, always angry, raging emotions, you know, those are subtle signs that something's going on. They don't want to be touched, wearing baggy clothes. It's like they're trying to hide themselves. And when they have different types of emotions, like for me, I only experienced anger. I was always just angry and trying to be happy. I remember never wanting to be touched. Don't touch me, don't hug me. I don't want to, you know.
So are there like signs in general for like when you should like watch out for like domestic violence and stuff like that?
Well, definitely physical signs, you know, any physical signs of abuse, you know, scars, you know, bruises, unexplained bruises when someone constantly has possibly accidents or something where they're saying, hey, I fell or I did something, I ran into something, and you're like, you know, no one's that clumsy. When you're seeing people interacting in a relationship and one person seems, you know, verbally abusive or you witness them being abusive, you know, those are definitely signs. When someone's controlling, wanting to always know where you are, what's going on, what you're doing, when you coming home, you know, those are different signs as well. So, I mean, I could go on and on. There's a lot of different signs, but I think people just have to pay attention and know what you're kind of willing to deal with in a sense of what you deserve, what you're worthy of. When you see someone is not going to treat you right the first time, believe that person. You know, don't stay trying to make it work. Don't stay trying to think that they're going to change. You know what you should know your worth, and you should know how you deserve to be treated. But unfortunately, a lot of survivors don't, because you think that's, you know, you can change someone, or, you know, that because you know this person, you have a relationship with this person, that they really don't mean to hurt you. But, I mean, you have to believe that person because that's what they're showing you.
So you think that's why some women stay in a sexual relationship? Like,
I can't speak for everyone. I know for me personally, it was because that's what I saw. I saw my mom and my dad constantly fighting, consistently, if not daily, weekly. And it was normal. It was a normal part of our lives to hear our parents, you know, fighting, to see it as violent as it was. And so that was normal. When I grew up, there were certain things that I was like, I don't really think that's normal. I don't really think that's how relationships are supposed to be, but because that's what I grew up thinking and seeing, you know, that plays a huge role in it. But for me, it was me wanting to make a relationship for the benefit of my son, me wanting to do something for someone else without even putting myself first. Well, hey, this man has been raping you. You're going to stay with him because you are doing this for your son? I didn't know my worth. I didn't know that I deserved better, for someone to treat me better, for someone to love me better. And I thought that by me staying with him, he would see that, or that I could, you know, I could have this ideal family. And it just really didn't dawn on me that that wasn't the reality. You know, a lot of women do stay for whatever reason they choose. Some choose to stay because, you know, their lives are in danger if they do make a move. You know, that's the reality of some situations as well. So, you know, everybody has a different reason why they stay. But I would hope that at one point you think about your life and what it's worth. And hopefully it's worse than this temporary situation that you're in.
So being that you were sexual, how does that like affect your dating life now?
all over again. So it's a lot of different things, a lot of different factors that play, you know, roles in you actually not just coping with your sexual assault, but actually being reintroduced to relationships, being reintroduced to, you know, healthy sexual relationships. All of those different things play a factor in your healing journey. But I would definitely say it hasn't affected me. Now I'm in a very good space, and I actually am dating, and it just doesn't affect me as it used to. As an individual, you can lose your identity of who you are, and when you violate it like that, when I say losing your identity, you know, sexually you become confused. A lot of people can become confused with their sexuality, and so the school had a very huge LGBT population, you know, lesbians, transgender, girls, and society has this, you know, very negative persona of individuals. And what I found that a lot of those individuals were actually survivors of sexual assault. And so we teach this, and even with the churches, we teach, you know, hatred and judgment towards individuals who are homosexual or different. And what we really should be doing is trying to understand what the underlying basis of that is. You know, a lot of those individuals have been sexually assaulted. So you mean to tell me that because I choose not to have sex with a man because I was raped, that and I feel more comfort in having sex with a woman, that you are going to judge me and shame me instead of dealing with the real core of the issue, which is I've been raped, and you want to shame me and tell me that I'm wrong for feeling the way that I feel, when you haven't taken the time, one, to even ask me why I'm acting this way, or what's going on with me, or why do I feel this way. And so, you know, I gained so much respect for people. I learned how not to pass judgment. And I have a different respect for individuals who are homosexual, transgender, the LGBT community in general, because they're so misunderstood. We need to stop shaming people and judging people, and we need to actually work towards healing them, because that's what churches are supposed to do. That's what people in general are supposed to do. You're supposed to help heal. And if I don't do anything in my life, if telling my story helps one person find their healing journey, then I swear I feel like I'm doing my due diligence in life. I'm meeting my purpose, and I'm meeting my passion. And above everything, I would just really love if people would stop shaming, you know, individuals because of something you don't understand. I've saw a lot of parents, you know, passing judgment, putting their kids out, you know, not claiming them anymore because they were gay, when this child is telling me she's been sexually assaulted, and she tried to tell you and you don't want to hear it because it's your boyfriend who still lives in the house. So this girl has to come home every night to somebody who's sexually assaulting her, and you don't want to believe her. But because she don't want to have sex with a man because she's been sexually assaulted, you gonna kick her out of her house, and she lives with you as like she's your child. We forgot how to take care of our kids. We forgot how to be there for individuals in general. We are so quick to pass judgment. We forgot how to heal people, and love heals people. And that's one thing I learned from working with those kids. Love heals all. It heals all anger. It heals all sadness. And at the end of the day, people just want to know that they're loved. They don't want no judgment. They don't want to hear that. They just want love. And so I really would hope that we can get to a place where we begin to really just love on each other and help each other heal. So I really wanted to say that, because I really hate, it disgusts me, the amount of judgment and hate that I see towards the LGBT community, when a huge majority of those individuals have some form of sexual abuse or some form of abuse in their history.
I never really thought about it like that. So thank you for telling me that too. That could probably be a reason why.
I won't say that that's everyone's circumstance, but you think of how much judgment they receive because they're different, because they're going against the grain of what everybody thinks they're supposed to be doing in society. Why, if you're already judging me as a person for me being different, would I feel comfortable to express my most intimate, traumatic experience with you so you can tear me down even more?
Yeah.
That's not right. So, for those kids and those, those individuals, I hope you know that there's people out there that care about you, that love you. And regardless of what anybody says, your life is of purpose, it has value, and you mean something. You mean something to someone. You mean something to me. So I hope that if anybody, is making you feel some type of way, I hope that you can, find a group of individuals, whether it's friends, whether it's different family members, somebody that loves and supports you, and you keep your head up. That's what I want to tell you. Keep your head up.
I really appreciate you being on the show today. Like, I had an amazing time getting to know more about you and hear.
Thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you for coming. And thank you for watching the show today, guys. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out to hear other people's stories. So you guys, you can find me on Facebook. I had a wonderful time with you guys today. And thank you. I love you guys.
/Teen Talk Abby. That's /Teen Talk ABI.